This is your life. It's a life that is so complicated that you have things coming at you from every single possible direction. You have a job, you have school, you have sports, you have video games, you have social media. You gotta spend time with your friends. You gotta go out on Friday night. You gotta uh, train for a 5K that you're doing with someone that you don't even know. You're doing all these things, right? And they just add this massive ball of complexity and just craziness to your life. And this is what your brain feels like. This is a picture of your brain. In fact, it's probably the way that your brain adds complexity to this every single time that you add more to your life. So today's video is going to be about how to cut it down. How can you have a complexity as simple, straight line, a straight line of complexity, right? You don't have things going all around. You don't have different, you don't have 10 different things you're doing in your life. You have a few select things that you choose to do that align with what you actually want to get out of your life. And you don't feel so overwhelmed. You don't feel like you're everywhere all at once. You don't feel the stress of having to deal with all these things at the same time. But this is the reality of being a human in our modern era. It's having so many responsibilities, having so many people depending on us and expecting things of us, and us feeling the need to fulfill the desire for them to work so that we can have enough money, not even for ourselves, but for other people. And so that is where the complexity comes from. And so the mistake, the big, big mistake that a lot of us make is that we decide that to simplify our life, to make it easier, we need to add more. We need to add things to our life so that it feels easier. This is the self-improvement phenomenon. This is the self-improvement the curse, where they tell you to take cold showers, to meditate, to read more books. And so what you're doing is you're adding more complexity to your life. By trying to improve your life, you're actually making it worse by adding more to it. So what you actually need to do is subtract. You need to start removing complexity in your life. And so what this does is it creates space, right? It creates space. Fucking marketing work. But here, it creates space, right? And this space might look empty. It'll make you feel unproductive, right? Because now you have all this time. You have all this time, right? You have smartest option. You have all this time. You have all this time now, and you feel like almost bored. You feel this feels wrong. It didn't feel right to not have something to do in this time. But here's the thing, right? Before you remove things from your life, you have to think about, okay, what will I fill that time with, right? So mistake number one, right? Number one mistake is adding. Mistake number one is adding. You don't need to add more to your life. Then the next mistake is subtracting without a plan. Okay, so what does that mean? That means you have subtracted complexity from your life. So now you have all this empty, you have all this free time now, right? And this is why you feel bored. This is why you feel like unproductive. This is why it feels wrong to remove these things, to stop doing things. And this is what actually keeps you in the cycle of adding more, because you don't want to feel bored. You want to feel busy. You want to feel like you're doing something, that you're contributing something. You know, it's the same idea behind why Americans, the retirement age for Americans is just getting older and older, because these Americans just can't seem to stop working. You know, we can't imagine a life where we're just retired and sitting at home doing nothing, right? Work is what gives us as humans a reason to be alive. So when you remove stuff from your life, it attacks a primal part within us that says, you know, I need to be contributing to society. I need to be doing something that benefits the world, right? And so you have to subtract with a plan, okay? Before you cut things out of your life, you need to have a plan for what you're going to use to refill that time, okay? So what can you fill this time with? Think about things that you generally wouldn't associate with your previous works. What did you subtract? So let's say social media, right? It's a big thing now. It's kind of a fad to cut up social media and delete all the apps from your phone. Let's say you cut up social media, right? And let's say you spend 3 hours a day on social media. So now you have 3 hours of free time. And if you hadn't planned out what you would fill that time with, it would just it'll feel empty. It'll feel boring. And you'll probably fill it up. You'll find a way to cope and fill it up with something unproductive. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to plan that's fill that time with something else. So let's say you want to get in shape. You want to build a physique that you can be proud of, you know, something that makes you feel good to look at in the mirror. Okay, so now you have 3 hours. Where could you invest this time? Right? There's so many ways you can do this. You can invest it into getting a better diet. You could spend the 3 hours meal prepping. You could spend it grocery shopping for healthier foods. You could spend it you go exercise. You could spend part of that 3 hours exercising. You could spend how else could you build a physique? Could you like exercise, diet, sleep? Right? There's so many ways you could go about it, but here's the key. Here's the key. If all this time, 3 hours that you cut up social media, delete all the apps, so now you have 3 hours. You don't do all of them at the same time. You don't do diet, exercise, and sleep at the same time. Pick one. Okay, pick one, because then those 3 hours get focused completely toward one of these things. Like imagine if you just put those 3 hours to sleep. You got 3 extra hours of sleep, or you got a few naps throughout the day and a few extra hours and like a couple extra hours of sleep at night. So you lose 3 hours and then you get more sleep. Or let's say you choose diet, right? You start to go grocery shopping more intentionally. So you plan out what you're going to buy. You start to research healthier recipes. You start learning how to meal prep. You start actually cooking instead of going out. And that takes up to 3 hours every single day. And then you have exercise. So you choose exercise. So you do your cardio. You start learning how to exercise. You start making your intention to go to the gym. You get the gym membership. You find a partner. You join a running club. You join a CrossFit gym. You do all that, and you spend those 3 hours there. But you don't want to do them all at the same time, because then you feel overwhelmed, and you make little progress in three directions. So think about it like this: you have this circle of time. But if you chose the diet, if you chose to do diet, sleep, and exercise at the same time, then these arrows show how much progress you make. You make it in three different directions, but you get nowhere. So imagine you have 3 hours. So you cut up social media. and it gives you 3 hours back, okay? And you spend this 3 hours dieting. So you figure out your diet, you learn how to meal prep, and you go grocery shopping, you learn how to cook healthily, and you start to build a habit of eating cleanly, okay? 3 hours only on diet. This is the arrow now. This is the arrow of progress. This is how much progress you're going to make towards that one thing. Your diet is going to go so much farther up, and your diet will improve. And as a result, it lifts up the rest of your life, right? Pretend like this line here is the rest of your life. It starts to bring things up with you. It lifts up the quality of the rest of your life. But if you did exercise, sleep, and diet, it pulls you in so many different directions, right? Down, to the right, up. It pulls you in so many different directions. And here's the thing, right? Most people, when they have this time and they decide to add stuff to their life, diet, exercise, sleep, cold showers, another direction. What else you do? Yes, you got oh, you want to learn a language. They want to learn a language, so that's another arrow. They have their 9 to 5. They see this new 3 hours and then they're like, oh, I could work more hours at my 9 to 5. So they invest into the 9 to 5. And they're like, oh, I've more time. I can do more Duolingo. But that's not it. They want to learn a hobby. So they want to learn how to knit. Hobby. Another arrow. And then it's not done yet. We still want to also, go out. We have this new time, so we can spend more time with our friends. It's good to have good relationships. Yeah. Go out. Spend time with our friends. And as you see, this crap just stacks up, right? Especially for people that want to self-improve, people that want to achieve good, amazing things in their life, the high achievers. It's even worse for them because they have this syndrome of wanting to add more crap because they want to do all these things at one time and get better, better, better. But you only get better in so many different directions. It's pulling you in so many different directions, and you're only getting to a mediocre level in each. So your cold showers are getting you like a tenth of the return that they could be if you only did cold showers. The exercise that you could be doing in just by itself could get you this much return, but instead it gets you this much return, right? So by stacking all these things at the same time and adding to your life instead of subtracting, you are essentially accepting the fact that you'll be mediocre in 10 different things rather than extraordinary in one. So why do you do this? Why do people decide that it's a good idea to do everything at the same time, to stack all these amazing good habits at the same time? Well, it's because they want to feel busy, right? You want to feel like you're doing something, that you're being smart, you're being proactive for yourself, and that you feel productive, that you're actually making progress somewhere. And then this is the huge mindset shift that I had to overcome because this was literally my life. Whenever I first started self-improvement when I was 13, 14, middle school, right? Maybe high school. And this is actually right when COVID started. Got into self-improvement, right? Got into self-improvement, and I wanted to do everything. I watched all the YouTube videos. I learned to do cold showers. I learned how to do at-home body weight exercises. I learned how to meal prep, I learned how to meditate, how to journal, how to read. So I got all these things stacked up, right? But the end goal, I wanted to improve myself. And so I did it. I would journal. I'd wake up, I would journal. Uh, every morning and every night, I'd meditate. And then every single day, I'd have this really, really long to-do list on my wall, right? Really long to-do list. And every morning, I'd be like, at the beginning, it was like exciting, right? Huge to-do list, all the things I would do. I would journal, I'd meditate, I'd take a cold shower, I'd work, I'd read, and then I'm check things off my to-do list. But it feels good at the beginning, but then as you do them, and because you have so much complexity, you just keep adding. It's not just the journal, meditation, cold shower. You keep adding to it. You keep adding more and more. And then eventually you're like drowning in all these things and you're not getting anywhere. You're making very small amounts of progress in each of these directions, right? You can't fix your diet, your sleep, take a cold shower, exercise, learn a language, learn how to knit at the same time. It just doesn't work. You can if you want to be mediocre in every single one of them. If you want to just be okay at every single one of them. Like, for example, my self-improvement thing, if I had cut out cold showers, cut out journaling, and only meditated, if I only meditated, I would have all that time in the morning to just focus on meditating and just focus on getting better at meditating, focusing on learning how to meditate, studying the greatest, the greatest philosophers, meditators, people that created these routines and protocols, study them, and then learn how to be better at it. And so my meditation would have this return instead of this return. And I'll be better at meditating. And then once I achieve that level, then I can start something else, Now, once I've focused just on meditation for like months, and I've actually gotten really good at it where I can be mindful, I can be able to be aware of my consciousness and my breathing and focus on that without getting distracted all the time. And I can do it for like longer than 2 seconds. I can do it for like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. I'm actually pretty good at meditating now because I've only done meditating. I've only focused on my diet. So now my diet's actually pretty good. I actually know how to cook. My food tastes good. I feel better. I don't feel as lethargic when I eat because I'm eating clean, right? With diet. And I feel this is the life I wanted, This is the life that I wanted. I wanted to feel good. I wanted to feel healthy, be healthy, and I wanted to do something that I know my future self will appreciate. Because health is a priority for me. So figure out what your priorities are and then do them. But don't do them all at one time. Figure out what tasks actually move the needle the most, right? And so if you're overweight and if you need to lose weight, what will be the highest ROI tasks? Is it to take a cold shower? No. Is it to learn a language? No. If there's a problem in your life, you don't need to do everything at one time to solve it. You just need to figure out one or two, ideally just one thing to focus on and do it. So if you're overweight, then maybe just focus on your diet for months, years. Just fix your diet. You don't even have to go that intense on exercise. Honestly, this is probably kind of controversial, but you don't even need to exercise for a few months, right? Because it adds complexity, makes it harder. Because if you're trying to lose weight and you have to meal prep and you have to stop eating the food that you like to eat, you have to now you have to go to bed 2 hours earlier than you usually do. Now you can't go out with your friends. Now you can't do this or that. You take cold showers. You have to go running 5 miles a day. You got to go lift weights for 3 hours a day, and then you have to go home and eat shitty food and meal prep for the next day. Could you imagine that complexity? So instead, if you want to lose weight, you pick one. You pick exercise, just exercise, or you pick diet, or you pick sleep. You pick one thing, Ideally, it'd probably be exercise or diet. You pick one. I mean, you can maybe do them at the same time, just at a lower intensity, right? So it'd be, you pick one that you go 90%. You give 90% of your energy, okay? So let's say you put 90% of your energy into diet and you put 10% into exercise, right? So if we go back to what we were talking about with 3 hours, you cut off social media and I have 3 hours, right? You put 90% of your time into the diet, 90% of the 3 hours. I don't know how to do the math, but it's 2 hours, 2.5 hours or something like that, 2 hours, 45 minutes into the diet, right? You put that into diet. So you learn how to meal prep, you learn how to cook, you learn how to grocery shop without feeling overwhelmed. You learn how to budget. You learn all these things for your diet. And then your diet slowly gets better. And it actually will work because you're not doing all this at the same time. You're just doing diet, and then the other 10% of your energy goes to exercise. Maybe you walk for 15 minutes a day. Maybe you go for a jog for 5-10 minutes. Just a little bit. You don't have to go to the gym and hit a 3-hour workout. You don't have to run 15 miles. All you have to do is go for a walk and fix your diet. We have problems in our life, but that doesn't mean that we need to solve them in 2 seconds by doing everything at one time. It's by understanding our problem and determining the best solution and doing that and only that solution. You don't need to do everything at one time. Because if you do, like I said, mediocre results. This is what you're looking for. You're looking for this arrow, this straight and true arrow that points in one singular direction with an immense return on your energy, on the time and the energy and the money that you invest into your diet. And I promise you, once you fix your diet, it'll be so much easier to then tell yourself, oh, now I can kind of exercise. Just I've built the muscle of eating clean, of meal prepping, of not eating that junk food, I built the muscle of being able to say no to eating unhealthy, to eating junk food. I've never said no to the cookie. I no longer feel as guilty about myself because I've built the muscle, because I've just focused on my diet for these past few months, and I feel so much better. I see the results of actually losing weight, right? Because I just did this one thing. And then, because your life's improving from this one thing, this exponentially, right? Over the course of the months that you focus on your diet, your life has improved. It will. And then you can start to add in another thing. You can add in exercise. So now you've built the muscle of diet, and it doesn't take as much willpower and energy to do it, right? Now you actually know what it takes to have a good diet. You understand how to meal prep, you understand how to cook, you understand how to say no. And now you've built that muscle, so now you can actually start to focus on your exercise. You can invest 90% of your energy into exercise and then 10% maintenance into your diet. So now your diet's already good, you know how to do it, so it doesn't require as much energy to do. So now you maintain the diet, and then you pour your energy into exercise or whatever it is, right, based off your problem. So action step. What you do is think about what is the biggest problem that you have in your life right now. Write it down, pull out a piece of paper and write it down in the center. What is your biggest problem? Write down your biggest problem. Okay. And once you have that biggest problem, think about, draw arrows from it, and think about the solutions that exist to this problem. Okay. You know them. You've watched all the YouTube videos. You've talked to your therapist. You've talked to your friends about it. You know the solutions, consciously or subconsciously. So just write down the solutions. Then what I want you to do is circle the solution. Circle the solution that has the highest likelihood of getting you, of solving the problem, alleviating the pain. That is going to be realistic for you to do. Like you can actually imagine yourself doing it. Like you feel like you could do it. That doesn't take that much time, and it doesn't take that much energy. You can do it within a realistic time frame. Like you don't have to do this for 10 years. You just have to do it for a few months. And then start on that solution. And then that is the thing you'll do. All this, forget about this. You don't need the rest of these solutions. You just need one. Like I said, weight loss. If you want to lose some weight, if you want to get a body that you can feel proud of, identify the solutions. Right. Let's pick a different problem, actually. You're broke. What are the solutions to being broke? Well, you could go, let's say you don't have an education. Let's say you've just graduated high school, broke. You could go to college. You can go to trade school. You could learn a skill. You could work a minimum wage job. Right. So these are just 4 solutions, but there's so many. There are so many solutions to being broke. Right. And so what you need to do is decide for yourself within your circumstances, with your life, with the problem that you're dealing with circumstances in your life, figure out, okay, what is the best decision for me here? What is the solution that gets me closest to alleviating the pain of being broke, solving the problem of being broke, and I feel like I can genuinely do, that takes the least amount of time and effort, and I feel like I can actually get there. I genuinely feel like I can get there. And so is it go to college? Maybe you can't afford college. Maybe you got to take out loans. Maybe there's not even a college where you live. Then maybe college isn't the answer. A lot of people would say, oh yeah, just go to college, get an education, get a degree, and then you get a job. But, in today's world, that's not necessarily a possibility for some people. So maybe college isn't realistic for you. What about trade school? Maybe there's a trade school in your town. And then you could learn the trade, you could learn the skill, you can study under people, and then you can get a job. And you can actually get a job while you're in trade school. So that could possibly be a solution. Learn a skill. Well, maybe, you could go on YouTube and watch a bunch of videos about writing. So you can learn how to write, and then you could learn copywriting. Work for a minimum wage. So become a waiter, become a waitress. Go flip burgers in McDonald's. That can work, but will it get you closer to your dream outcome of not being broke? Probably not, because working minimum wage is not going to make you not broke. It's going to temporarily alleviate pain, but it's just going to create more pain. So probably not that one, right? But maybe it is that one. Maybe that's the only option you have. So now you're about to learn a skill, work trade school. Which one would you rather do? Would you rather learn a trade and then work a job as you do it and make some money? Or would you rather learn a skill, so take time and it'll be painful and you probably won't be making that much money initially, but the return on your investment is incredible, right? And so think about it. Do you need money now? Or are you willing to sacrifice a little bit of time and energy to learn a skill for free online and then offer your services to people? Freelance. Let's say you want to take the path of learning a skill. Cool. All these other things you could have done, all these other solutions you had to the pain of being broke, you don't do them. You don't do a trade school. You don't do this one. You don't do a college. You don't go to work for minimum wage. You don't do this one. You don't do this one. You fuck that solution. You don't do this one. But you choose to learn a skill, right? You learn a skill. And here's the key. You don't learn 10 different skills. You learn one skill. You learn how to copyright. Okay? You don't learn how to video edit. You don't learn how to take photographs. You don't learn how to design websites. You don't learn any of that, okay? You learn how to copyright. Just how to copyright. Okay. So you go on YouTube, buy books, you study the art of copywriting. You do it, right? You don't just read and learn, pretending to learn and pretending to be productive. You learn copywriting by doing, actually writing copy. You can offer your services for free to people. You can go to businesses, you can knock on doors, you can email, you can cold call, you can DM and offer your copywriting for free. And you will eventually you will get better because you're learning and you're doing. And because you're only doing copywriting and you're not going to college, going to trade school, working in a 9-to-5 and for minimum wage, because you're only working on the skill of being a good copywriter, you're going to be a really good copywriter. And because you're a really good copywriter, you will learn the skill. And this skill is in demand. People will pay you for this skill. And now, you can write online. You can serve people by writing online from anywhere in the world, as long as you have a little bit of internet connection, and you can just use this skill to alleviate the pain of being broke. And the reason why this works is because you only chose the path of copywriting. You didn't choose the other paths. You just did copywriting. Right? You just did it. But here's magic, right? Once you learn how to copyright, you can learn how to design websites and then write copy for these websites, and then you can become a full stack front end developer for websites. You can write copy, you can write the code, and you've learned a skill that allows you to not be broke anymore. So after you learn copywriting, then you can learn relational. Then you can learn web design. Then you can learn how to code. You don't learn how to code and write copy and learn how to video edit and learn how to run an agency and do this and that and this other thing at the same time. No. Okay. Just do this. And yes, I get it. Circumstances apply. Sometimes you gotta work a job at the same time. You gotta go to college. You gotta do this or that. Fine. But the goal, the principle that I'm trying to instill is don't add to your life. Subtract. In the book Essentialism, which is what I have based this idea off of, you want to decide what trade-offs you want to trade off in your life. What are the things in your life that you are willing to give up so that you are more aligned with solving your pain, so that you are more aligned with reaching your goals? Because there's things you are doing in your life that are inching you closer to your goal, but there are very few things, there's like one or two things that are actually getting you there, that you're just holding yourself back from. You're limiting their potential, right? So if you're broke, but you don't want to be broke anymore, and it's painful to be broke, it's embarrassing, and you feel like this is the biggest problem in your life. It sucks, right? It just sucks to be broke. You wish you could afford to go to the grocery store and not look at the prices on the food so that you could eat healthy, so that you can meal prep, so that you can lose the weight. But first, the biggest pain is probably being broke. So if you're broke, you have all these potential options to not be broke, and you're probably doing all of them at the same time because you feel like, oh, I gotta do them all so that I can alleviate this pain. But as a result of doing them all, you're creating more pain. You're creating more complexity. So pick one thing to do. Whether it's learning a skill, go to college, go to trade school, work in a job. Pick one or two. I get it. If circumstances apply, then you gotta work a job to make some money on the side, and that's okay. but you don't want to add more to that. One or two things. Dial in on them. Dial in on copywriting. Dial in on your job. And you'll start to realize that complexity is the enemy. Okay. Simplicity is I'm trying to think about something profound to say, but simplicity is the key. You want to have a simpler life. It'll feel wrong. It'll feel weird. It'll feel like you're unproductive. It'll feel like you're not making progress. But would you rather make progress, mediocre progress in 10 different directions, or extraordinary progress in one that actually alleviates your pain? Choose your path. Choose a path of simplicity. Goodbye.